Good morning, everybody. We are back again. The show is called the Big R Solution Sports Program. It's myself, the Sobri Boys, Wale Fatsi. Unfortunately, this morning I'm all by myself. Sheikh's had to rush to Limpopo. There are some commitments that he has to fulfill down there. Sepang also is engaged on a number of issues around the area of Motorfontein in our area here. And then Jake is still not well, but nevertheless, that doesn't stop us to get going. We need to get going irrespective of whatever circumstances that we encounter. My name is the Sobri Boys, Wale Fatsi. I'm with you. And then to this morning, I want us to discuss Orlando Pirates. Orlando Pirates. I'm sure some of you have already guessed that, of course, we are going to discuss Orlando Pirates after the game that we watched last night against Mamelodi Sundowns. I'm asking you a question, you out there as the viewer. Do Orlando Pirates need a permanent coach? Or it is a question of technical staff looking at themselves? All right. Do Orlando Pirates need a permanent coach, or do a technical staff have to look at themselves? So that's the question that I'm asking. So I don't know. You may be somewhere as far as the topic is concerned in terms of you think that they need a permanent coach, or probably the technical staff should look at themselves. You know, last night I attended the press conference of Mamelodi Sundowns. I was impressed by what Coach Rulani Mokwena said, which I think it reflects. I mean, most of the coaches need to look from that perspective. He said when he was being asked questions, he said, we don't worry about any other team. We look at ourselves. We don't worry about any other team. We look at ourselves. Now, that is why I'm asking this question. Do Orlando Pirates have to look at their technical staff, or they need a permanent coach? So those are some of the questions that I'm asking. So I don't know what is your argument. Having watched the game yesterday, first half, they were playing very well. They should have buried Mamelodi Sundowns in the first half. I don't know what was happening. I don't know whether the strikers had forgotten their scoring boots. I don't know. So those are some of the issues. But let's look at Orlando Pirates. Is it a question of injuries? Remember that Thembinkosi Lorch, not long, he was on injury list. And you could see that is why probably was substituted. That as time goes on, the match fitness was starting to show itself. So where should we blame this performance? We normally hear the coach or assistant coach, Mandla Ngigazi. You would always say he is absolutely worried, and he is not sure what is happening because they play well. And then at some point, you would say maybe the issue of them suffering so many injuries contributes. All right. So probably that carries weight. I don't know. Now, if that is the case, because I'm looking at Orlando Pirates. Now, Orlando Pirates has done very well over the years. If you remember 1995, they are the first team to win the Africa Cup Champion League. They are the first team to bring the star. I don't know whether that was because the majority of the squad were from the hands of Jomo Sono. Because if you remember, the majority of those players were former Jomo Cosmos players. So that is why I'm saying, I don't know whether it's a technical squad or the recruiting department. maybe the problem has to do with the recruiting department. Who are they recruiting and how are they recruiting? Because as I was saying, 1995, they won that cup. The majority of those players were Jomo's product. But we still remember Pirates when they were still being given players by Agostino Palacios. I don't know whether he's still there. He's still supporting them with players. I don't know. We know that Agostino Palacios has produced a number of good players. Potsotso Makanya, so many players, youngsters, Gifty Remy, and then Cheese Boy, Mukwena, and so on. So that makes you wonder, what could be the problem? What could be the problem? And for instance, one cannot say the chairman of Orlando Pirates all of a sudden has become a bad person. I think he has done well. If you look at his history, he has done very well. If I remind you a little bit, he was the chairperson of the 2010 World Cup Soccer Tournament as of the organizing committee, which successfully brought the tournament to our shores. So there's no way you can say he's a failure now, because that on its own speaks volume. Not only that, he was awarded an honorary doctorate of philosophy by the University of Zululand. You see, so, and we know that in 2011, you know, recognizing his contribution to the development of football, the then president in 2011, President Jacob Zuma, rewarded Dr. Ivan Khoza with the Order of Ikamanga. So when you look at all those, it doesn't make him a bad leader at all. But we know that some of the issues was he has been the chairperson of the league since the inception of the Premier Soccer League. I don't know whether that has an impact on his focus in terms of focusing on the team. Now he has to focus on the team and other teams and the league. So that draw his attention away from Orlando Pirates. Then what about the role of a person like Brasten, Skrima Chabala? What is his role at Orlando Pirates? Do they contribute? What is the role of Floyd Mbele at Orlando Pirates? Now let's look at the technical staff. How big is the Orlando Pirates technical staff? If you compare Orlando Pirates technical staff with Mamelodi Sundowns, for that matter, do you think that probably the problem, the technical staff has to be beefed up? Do you think that the coach or assistant coach, Fadlu Davids and Manda Ngigazi, they lack depth? That's the question. Hence, the question is, do they need a permanent coach? But like I indicated, that we need to look at technical staff, because if the issue centers around the fitness or the injuries on players, what is the role of Percy Moloi, who's the fitness coach of Orlando Pirates? What is the role of Stephen Plummer, the rehabilitation specialist? Sibusiso Makula, sports scientist. Kyle Solomon, performance analyst. And Darren Wilkin, performance analyst. And also Kutlwano Molefe, physiotherapy. All right? Because I think these persons, they need to look at themselves. John Williams, physiotherapist. Is it that time now whereby Orlando Pirates need to look at themselves and say, who's playing what role in their department? All right? If you say they need a permanent coach, they had so many permanent coaches before. All right? So that is why I'm saying, where's the problem? I think it's time for Orlando Pirates to look at themselves very closely. and ask themselves questions. Who are they recruiting? Are they really at the level of Orlando Pirates? Remember, Orlando Pirates is a big team. Orlando Pirates has produced Dr. Kaiser Mtaung. Orlando Pirates has produced Dr. Jomo Sono. We know he's the greatest of all time. Orlando Pirates has produced a lot of greats. Percy Chipamloi, the late, Russia Jacobs, all right, has produced a number of people, Orlando Pirates, really great players. So, but we don't know what's happening now. Or is that time that probably the Iron Duke need to ask himself? I know he has already said that this is his last term, and then so that probably he can lessen some of the burden on his shoulder. But like I said, there's no way, because he has carried the responsibility of Orlando Pirates even during those times of PSL. And he has managed to bring glories to Orlando Pirates. You know, sometimes one day I was listening to Brasten's show, and I was listening to Lucky Lehwati saying, Dr. Ivan Khoza would lead to the front, even if things are tough in a very scary areas. You'll always be there and lead them in the front. And then one day I was interviewing Thabo Matlaba here. He said, you know what, we're going to Africa and it was very scary. And Dr. Ivan Khoza made sure that his son is going to accompany us. I mean, sacrificing with his son. And he was leading in the front. So where's the problem? Do Mandla Ngazi and Fadlu Davids, show their, that Pirates is too big for them? I don't know. But they have been having a number of coaches before, permanent coaches. But I'm asking myself, Pirates has been coached by great coaches. I can, isolate here Phil Jones. He said he has done well while he was a player coach at Pirates. There are a number of people who did well. Ruth Kroll in the past, so many. There are so many, but I don't know what happened. So maybe you have a word, you have something to say, because having watched yesterday's game, you know what? Had they had good strikers, here I'm thinking of people like Tonadon Zibande, guys who would finish, all right? Well, Jomo Sono was not a striker, was a midfielder, but would score goals. So maybe, I don't know. Hence, I'm saying probably the technical staff or people who are recruiting the staff or the players, maybe they need to look at themselves. Or the technical staff, they have to look at themselves. Or Dr. Ivan Khoza has to reevaluate. I know that, like I indicated, that he said this is his last time serving as the chairperson of the league. So those are some of the questions that Orlando Pirates need to ask themselves. But over and above that, Mamelodi Sundowns played very well. They were bearing their chances, of which that's what was lacking as far as Orlando Pirates. And then Makaringa scored a very beautiful goal. It was an excellent goal. And then I don't know whether was he supposed to be introduced earlier than that, or it was good to be brought in at that particular time. So it's your take. I want to hear from you. What's your take? Where should Orlando Pirates go now? Because they're not far. They're just at number 3. If they can win 3 or 4 games, and then that will put them in a better position. This does not mean that the league is wrapped up already. They can still catch up with Mamelodi Sundowns. Yes, of course, the gap is too huge now. If I'm not mistaken, it's 17, if it's not 19 points so far. But we need about 4 or 5 games, then you're almost there. All right. So let me hear from you. I want to hear your comment. Thank you very much for tuning in. And then please continue to subscribe. Please like and dislike. If you dislike, tell us what should we improve on this show. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.